This is the Tree of Life, Season 12, Chapter 7. In this episode, we will be talking about how the bodily rhythms from the complete series relate to hybrid and affirmational structures. To start off, in the complete series, and throughout these podcasts, we have described the body as being subject to a series of bodily cycles or rhythms. Examples of these included the ingestion cycle, which can be subdivided into the consumption of items which satisfy particular needs. In past episodes, we have broken down impulses into two forms. Those which are self-conscious by need, the manifestation of concealment, and those which are self-conscious, relationally, that is, produced by affirmation. In this episode, we will be talking about how the bodily cycles, or rhythms, in fact, have two distinct manifestations, stemming from whether they are ingratiated by self-consciousness relationally, or through concealment, that is, by negation. To begin, impulses which are self-conscious by need relate to the direct physical sensations of the lower, or spatial plates, rather than the emotional, or higher plates. In the complete series, we talked about these rhythms or cycles as if they had only one manifestation, largely arising out of concealment, or through scarcity, or negation of the satisfaction of the need. This manifestation arises out of the spatial component of these rhythms or cycles. That is, the direct physical sensations associated with the spatial plates. But there is another manifestation of these selfsame rhythms, arising out of gratuitousness, with respect to satisfaction of that need, that is, arising out of a relational self-consciousness. This means that the bodily rhythms or cycles manifest in the emotional or higher plates relationally, that is, through self-consciousness with respect to some other. The manner by which this occurs is by the linking of those cycles or rhythms to impulses, which are contained within hybrid or affirmational structures. Let me explain what I mean by this. In the example of a trigonal hybrid structure comprising two dialectical impulses, one of which is affirmed for person B, and a second which is affirmed for person C. The idea was that within this structure, distinct impulses, which happen to be dialectical, are affirmed for distinct actors. To put this in terms of the bodily cycles, imagine that person B is offered a drink of water, and person C a plate of food. In this case, the rhythm for person B, corresponding to the cycle associated with the need for water, is affirmed, whilst, for person C, it is the need for food. Likewise, for person B, the cycle corresponding to the need for food is negated, whilst for C, the need for water is negated. This is axiomatic, but the point being that only for the impulse which is affirmed is the rhythm or cycle self-conscious, whilst for the negated rhythm, it remains self-conscious by need. In other words, the cycles or rhythms transition from the spatial plates to the emotional plates, that is, the emotional, archetypal, symbolic or esoteric, through their affirmation within a hybrid or affirmational structure relationally. The cycles themselves become embedded, so to speak, within a relational self-consciousness. This tells us a few things. It tells us that the effect we noticed regarding emotional coupling, that is the linking of the breathing rhythm as between two emotionally coupled individuals, which is broken by the hard reset, being the breathing exercises, is the product of this involvement of that rhythm within a hybrid or affirmational structure with some other. This means that the hard reset, the breathing exercises described in the complete series, are not just breaking that emotional coupling, they are breaking the hybrid structure which renders that rhythm relationally self-conscious. This also shows us that using the bodily rhythms, by way of concealment, that is, in the negation of satisfaction of some need when there is some gratuitousness available, represents the direct undermining of the formation of the affirmational component of some hybrid or affirmational structure. From this, we see that the tightness, observed in Season 12, Chapter 3, as between interacting people, which manifests as the geometric windows corresponding to hybrid or affirmational structures, results from the interrelation of our essential bodily cycles within some relational self-conscious feedback loop with some others with whom we are interacting. In other words, to eliminate this tightness, which manifests as a narrow time parsimony, with limited room for negation, is to eliminate the feedback loop, which generates the attribution of these cycles to the affirmational component of hybrid or affirmational structures within the emotional plates. That's the end of the podcast for today.